You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Hey, good morning. It's 7:06. It's nice to have you back here up north on this Monday morning, June 9th, 2025. Dr. Kristen Lyerly is here. Meteorologist Brittany Merlot is on the way. We'll talk to State Senator Chris Larson a little later on this hour as well. But first off, it is time once again for the Scotty Summer Text to Win contest. Done statewide around the network 4 times a day. You can either win $100 cash or a pair of Brewers tickets, club level, great seats. And every time you enter, it puts you in the drawing for one of the grand prizes, a little vacation getaway in Wisconsin Dells or in Door County, some gas money to get you there as well. Each time we do this, there's a different keyword that you need to text us through the Civic Media app before the end of the hour. So get that Civic Media app, places like Apple and Google. Go to one of the stations on the app and use the text button to send us the keyword. So here we go. For this hour, the prize is $100 cash, and the keyword is lawn, L-A-W-N, lawn, L-A-W-N. You have until the end of the hour to text that. Then you'll have new chances to play with new keywords at 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 4 p.m., part of the Scotty Summer Text to Win contest. And again, this hour's keyword is lawn. $100 is the prize. But that pales in comparison to the prize we have here with the return of meteorologist Brittany Merlot to give us the forecast for this week.
Hey.
Welcome back. How are you?
I'm good. Much, much better this week. How are you guys doing? I missed you.
Well, great. We missed you too very much. But we welcome you back on a rainy day over here in the Chippewa Valley. And I guess we're not going to be talking drought this week at all.
No.
I mean, if anything, maybe for a day tomorrow. But otherwise, it's, what's the word I used on Friday? Unstable.
Unstable.
Yeah, kind of has that, because you just didn't know, is it going to rain here? Is it going to rain there? And is that kind of what we're facing here for a little while?
Unfortunately, yeah. We're going to try to figure out when we can get that lawn cut in between all of these chances for rain this week. So we've got a roller coaster of temperatures as well, spots of sunshine, chances for thunderstorms. So here's what's happening this morning. Right now, it is 48 degrees in Phillips. It is 59 degrees in West Bend. So we're in those upper 40s to low to mid 50s all across the state. There is sun shining in far southeast parts of the area, clouds far northwest, and it is raining right now into central Wisconsin, here in Owasso as well, with a low pressure system overhead, draping a cold front through the state. So it's going to be a damp and dreary day today with on and off light rain chances for a good chunk of the state this morning. Then it sparks back up and some small storms are possible later this afternoon, and they could still continue into this evening as well. So an on and off damp and dreary day, mid 50s far north to mid 60s far south. So still stuck in that cooler air. And as we go through tomorrow and Wednesday, a high pressure system starts to settle in. So we will start to dry things out. We will warm things up to the mid 60s far east tomorrow, mid 70s far west. And then we're going to continue that warm up to near 80 degrees on Wednesday before another low pressure system brings more wet weather for the rest of the week.
Basically, we've set the table for amazing growth of things.
Yes.
All the things that Kristen planted this year and all the landscaping is just going to grow like, well, I was going to say grow like weeds, but I spent the day weeding the landscaping. So no, the weeds don't get to grow, but everything else. And I like the way you put it about the lawns, because that's always one of those things, you have weeks like that where you're like, can I go now? Can I go now? Can I go?
Right. Can I squeeze this in before it rains again? Will I make it?
Is the grass dry enough before the next round comes in? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's going to be the problem this week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, otherwise wait till Sunday.
Okay. Kristen, are the boys taking care of the landscaping and the lawn adequately while you're, working during the week?
I sure hope so. We've developed a strategy where I've asked them to send me a picture and then I make a judgment instead of just relying on their judgment. We'll see how this works.
On the lawn?
Yeah.
Is there? Did you put like a ruler in the ground or something so you can say, "Well, it's 3¼ inches."
Are they
It's
changing
go
the height
time.
of the mower?
Can't you just tell? Like, you look at it, you see you have a
Yes.
pattern. It's like
Yes.
looking at a ballpark. You've got the pattern. If you start to lose the pattern, it's
Mhm.
time to mow. Right, Rob? I know Rob's listening. This
Rob
is Rob's
li-
expertise.
Yes, he is. He says, "Good morning from Tigerton. It's cloudy and 53 with rain just west of me. Saturday, I had 2 yards to mow. Then my niece Elvie's graduation party and birthday Sunday. Tigerton had a 1/2 inch of rain, and when I went to church, my car Molly got a car wash while I was in church." He goes on to say that this weekend I watered the flowers for Tigerton Main Street. He also says, unfortunately, in my area over the weekend, we had a rash of mailboxes and road signs being knocked down and stolen, especially stop signs. It cost the county and township money to replace these things. Yeah, don't do that. Don't be a jerk. Rob says, it was great to see Brittany again. She is a Wisconsin legend, and so is Pat and Kristen. All three of you gave some wonderful birthday wishes. That was the highlight of my birthday.
Oh, Rob.
How nice is that? So thank you very much. And he says it's starting to rain again in the Tigerton area. So again, that's the theme this week. We'll just be dodging these things in and out and do all right. So do you have much, Brittany, for flowers or landscaping or any green thumb activities?
I love to do that. I have a ton of plants inside, but I don't have a lot of green space outside to do so. So not this year, unfortunately, but I'm huge into trying to grow some veggies, the pretty flowers, anything. I love it.
Kristen, are you flowers or like veggies as well? Carrots and things, tomatoes.
Right now I just have a small garden box, but I'm actually a master gardener, so I've grown it all.
Wow.
She's a master gardener, folks.
Gee.
Wow. I didn't know you were big time like that.
Jeepers. All right. Gotta make a note. Start the garden segment with Master Gardener, Dr. Kristen Lyerly.
Garden Talk with Pat Kreitlow.
Oh, boy. What makes Sherry a happy camper, though, is that there on our back deck is basil and there's mint, because that girl loves a mint julep. And when when you're growing the mint yourself, that's wonderful. And is oregano easy to grow? Because I don't like basil so much as I like oregano. And I would add that to foods.
I mean, try it.
My mom has it.
That's your Master Gardener recommendation? I mean, try it. Okay.
Well, it's not hard to grow. It's just, are you good at growing things? I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe ask Sherry to grow it for you.
Well, I could. Yeah. That's kind of where I was going with that.
She could put it next to the mint.
Yeah. Brittany, I've got a story here on the Up North News website about summer camp. Did you ever do summer camps as a kid?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I was a Girl Scout, and then I also did the horse camps all the time. I loved horseback riding, so they'd send me away for the summer to a horse camp.
How long, when you say send you away for the summer, how long would you be gone?
It felt like the whole summer. It was probably just a couple weeks, to be honest.
Kristen, were you a camper?
Mm-mm. I mean,
No,
we'd go
no,
camping.
No.
but we
I
didn't
mean,
go to
I
summer
mean
camp.
the summer camp thing. Yeah, you didn't do that. Okay,
Mm-mm.
Parker.
Yeah, I did for a couple of summers. I was doing a tennis camp that was actually in Whitewater. So yeah.
A tennis camp, so athletics.
Yeah.
So we got themed camps as well. Okay, just wondering about all those. I'm going to tell folks about the web story in a minute here. But Brittany, thank you so
You're
very
welcome.
much. Nice to see you again. Have a great
You
day. We'll see you
too.
again next hour for a little update on that forecast. So get your s'more sticks ready, because summer camps are kicking off, and they're not just for kids anymore. Whether you're looking for a day trip, a cozy cabin weekend getaway, a full-on wilderness retreat, there is a camp somewhere that'll let you unplug or try something new, or just relive the best parts of growing up in Wisconsin. Some camps offer a more traditional summer camp experience with fire pits, archery targets, time on the water. Others let you tap into your creative side with arts and crafts. And so on our website, there are 6 summer camps for adults that you can check out. And again, the cost varies on this, so we're just going to give you the description only here. Let's see. There's Camp Wandawega in Elkhorn, which has Airbnb cabin rentals with camp-like amenities, fire pits, private beach, fishing pier, tennis courts, archery. There's the Aldo Leopold Nature Center in Monona, a one-day adult camp with games, crafts, and friendly competitions. There's the Woodland Dunes Nature Center and Preserve in Two Rivers, hosting 3 afternoon camps this summer, each with a different theme, ranging from arts and crafts to outdoor hikes. Let's pick one more here. We'll do, let's say, the Clearing Folk School in Ellison Bay, week-long camps for grown-ups with opportunities to learn quilting, wood carving, or painting while living on site, meals included. Kristen, I'd ask if any of these appeal to you, but you do like just camping. You and Craig just take, you still got the pop-up, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
I just like to be in the wilderness. But if I could just put a plug in for Camp Wandawega, apparently it is lost in time. I have friends who go there every summer, and it is this place where you go. They want to set your expectations low. There's no technology. There's none of the fancy bells and whistles. You go there and you are just camping, and it is delightful.
Oh, that actually sounds really nice. I don't know that I can really unplug like that, but
Maybe you should.
yeah,
It would
maybe.
help.
Time.
It would really help.
Tony says no one else went to church camp. Is that more of an Ohio thing? Oh no, Luther Park is a big one up here. There are many religious themed camps up in northern Wisconsin, Jewish, Christian, otherwise. But Rob in Tigerton says my summers were working on the farm as a kid, and that's why when I met Sherry and she had no interest in camping, and still doesn't. She says you have to remember on a farm, your goal was to get indoors at the end of the day.
Yes.
Not
Fair,
to sleep
yeah.
outdoors. Let's see. Alicia says, Dr. Kreitlow is welcome to harvest the mint someone planted in my garden before I bought my house.
Oh.
So she's got extra mint to share. And finally, back to Tony, who says, I like camp, sit on my couch. That's a
good one.
It's a fine one from time to time, like when a Brewers game is on or something like that. Speaking of which, I had to work to find the Brewers games over the weekend. The Saturday night one turned out to be the national game on Fox, which was fine. But, you first go to the FanDuel network and you see they're doing, a show about baseball trading cards or something. You're like, where's the game? And then yesterday's game, I looked on Fox. It wasn't there, not on FanDuel. Didn't see it anywhere in my TV guide. I'm like, I know this is on TV someplace. And finally looked it up. The Roku channel.
Yeah.
I just can't do this. All of the jumping around and searching things, I just it's just too much. It's too much effort.
It's not fun. They didn't make it as easy as it could have been.
No, not even close. But let's see. What else I've got from Allison Cudahy on the text line. I have an oregano plant that is at least 18 years old. It's a perennial, no care needed, easy peasy, Alice writes. So
Thank you,
go.
Alice.
Yes. So maybe that's where I got to go from here.
It's a perennial. If you put it in the ground, it'll keep coming back.
I know that's that
Low maintenance. That's what you like.
I do like low maintenance. There's enough high maintenance things in my life right now, so I would be just
like sports.
Yeah, there is that. Just trying to find the game. And so, of course, to do that, I had to watch a game that ended with a 1-0 score. A Manny Machado home run for the Padres. Why? Why Manny Machado? If anybody's going to beat you. But, of course, it was. And so the Padres take 2 out of 3. The Atlanta Braves come to town now for a 3-game series tonight, tomorrow evening, and Wednesday afternoon. And coverage begins at 6:05 on several Civic Media stations across the network. And tune in to civicmedia.us to learn more. From the heart of America's up north, live from Lake Wissota, thanks for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Just about 7:23 right now, and a reminder that you can get our daily newsletter over at upnorthnewswi.com. And I was just calling that up because we were doing some Dairy Month trivia. There we go. Let's see. I did promise the answer to this question, and maybe I'll bounce this off a doctor here. Dr. Lyerly,
Yes.
can you explain why fresh cheese curds squeak when you eat them?
Because
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
they do. They
because
just do.
they-
Try
What an
it.
answer!
They-
Wow.
That's her med school answer right there. No, fresh cheese curds squeak because the elastic protein strands in the cheese rub up against the enamel of your teeth, and that makes the squeak. And
Why
that's
does it only happen when they're fresh or
That's my
Be-
question.
when they're
because the-
warm? Like
because
if you
the-
put them in the microwave.
the protein strands become either less, they lose their
Are
elasticity.
you making this up right now?
I'm hypothesizing. That's
That
a
seems
very
right.
scientific thing that we do here
I believe it.
on radio.
It's got to be like if they're softer. Because if they're cold, you put them
Yeah.
in the fridge, there's
Mhm.
no squeak. They
No.
have to be soft.
They have to be, yeah. But well, the squeak that comes when they are fresh off the line, like when we pick them up at Nasonville, that little yellow shack by Curtis, just before you get to Abbotsford
Highway
on Highway
29?
29. Oh yeah, oh, I love that squeak. And it's always fun when you've got visitors and you give them a cheese curd for the first time. And they think, I'm not going to like this. This is like it curdles up from the milk. Blah, blah, blah. Just try it. They try it. It squeaks. It's got that little kind of salty, taste to it. And it's just fun to watch them go, oh, this is cool. Like, yeah, right. And then the Canadians managed to improve it and turned it into poutine. What the heck,
I know. Add gravy and French fries, and you're good to go.
Oh, yeah. Robin Tigerton says, I get fresh cheese curds from the DuPont Cheese Factory near Marion.
I
a
get mine
very
from
good-
Scray Hill.
Okay. Alicia also says she keeps oregano in a pot, so she has to replant every year. As we were talking about where to get your herbs and spices. We've started with mint and basil. Who knows where it's going to grow from here? So the state Democratic Convention is going to be coming up this coming weekend in Wisconsin Dells. Of course, the big thing there will be the race for chair. You've got Joe Zepecki, you've got William Garcia, and you've got Devin Remaker, who is endorsed by the outgoing chair, Ben Wickler. And I've, stated on this program many times that I will be very happy with any of those three. They're all very capable, good folks, and I've been very grateful that all three have come on the show multiple times to talk about their vision for the state Democratic Party. Kristen, have you publicly expressed a favorite candidate in the race?
Yeah, I have, and I agree with you. I think they all are a great choice, but Joe Zepecki is my guy, and I've been with Joe from the beginning. And the reason is that Joe was with me from the beginning. When I launched my campaign for Congress, Joe and his wife, Melissa Baldoff, who is a longtime advisor to Governor Evers, and she's been around Wisconsin politics forever, as well as Joe, who I've worked with Protect Our Care, so on some healthcare initiatives. They have been right there with me by my side, cheerleaders, and that has meant so much to me. And if you're a listener of the show, you know who Joe Zepecki is. You know that he breaks things down. He communicates. He's able to help bridge a lot of the gaps that I think a lot of people are feeling in the Democratic Party right now. People are feeling like communication is a priority that hasn't been achieved, and it needs to be more emphasized further than it has been with past leaders. So I think Joe's our guy.
They've been such great conversations about the needs of the state Democratic Party because the track record has been pretty good in statewide elections. I mean, the last, several Supreme Court races, with the exception of Ron Johnson, there have been a lot of other good statewide outcomes, but there is absolutely, nothing that can be taken for granted. You've got Democrats who are going to be pushing for a trifecta next year, hold the governor's seat, and now with fair maps, pick up the Assembly and the Senate. Midterms typically don't go well for the party in power, which would be the Republicans. There's going to be a lot of Trump backlash in the midterms. But having said all that, whoever wins that chair's race, you better hit the ground running. And like I said, there's not a moment for complacency.
And hit the ground running outside of Madison and Milwaukee. I think there's been a lot of emphasis in the bigger cities where you can churn turnout, sure, but in order to get people in Hayward and Wausau and Hudson to get out and vote. And that's where we need to pick up those assembly seats. So that's where we need to show some love and make sure that we're communicating well, both within the party and to our neighbors and our friends. Democratic ideals and issues are really the things that are holding this country together right now. And I think most of us agree on a lot of those things. We want healthcare, we want education, we want to make sure that we've got safe spaces to live in and houses to live in. That's what Democrats believe in, but we're not doing a great job of getting those messages out. I think Joe's going to do that.
There's going to be all kinds of need for exactly that kind of communication to be done. And there's going to be as well all kinds of speculation on will he or won't he. And of course, we're talking about Governor Evers, who probably won't make any announcement at the convention, but is certainly going to have people discussing whether he runs for a third term or not. So it would be nice if he surprised everybody and said, you know what, I've decided already, and it's, and then I might wish I was there, but I'll be missing it this year because I know next year is going to be such a big year, and it's going to be big doings. So, by the way, in a related note, Dan Schaefer has a column about that he's going to be posting tomorrow. He'll give us just a little hint of it tomorrow morning, and then it's going to publish, and he'll have much more to say about it tomorrow afternoon when he's on the Maggie Dawn show, working alongside his guest co-host Angela Lang. So stick around for that. Kristen, thank you. So great to see you on the Mondays, and maybe this Friday too.
Yeah, this Friday. What a great way to start and end our week.
It's wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in. All right. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later.
All right, you too.
State Senator Chris Larson is going to be joining us next year on the Civic Media Radio Network. Seems like a good time to remind you that we have a keyword for the Scotty Summer Text to Win contest that's still out there that you can text to us before the end of this hour. And the word is lawn, L-A-W-N. Again, lawn, L-A-W-N is the keyword for $100. And that's this hour's prize. Plus, you're in the running for those grand prizes, a stay in the Wisconsin Dells area or in Door County, some gas money to get you there. And every entry this hour and all the other hours puts you in the running for that grand prize as well as the hourly prize. Again, do that. Text it through the Civic Media app. And we'll do this again, 11 a.m., 2 p.m., 4 p.m. And again, that's part of the Scotty Summer Text to Win contest. Brewers are taking on Atlanta in a 3-game series this evening, and then again tomorrow evening, and then Wednesday afternoon. Coverage this evening begins at 6:05. That's at stations in Richland Center, Oshkosh, Racine, Kenosha, Park Falls, and Hayward. All right, so we are waiting on Senator Chris Larson, who's going to join us, and I know that I had another note or two I wanted to share about things that you could find on the Courier Newsroom website, because a whole lot of new shows have been posted there and newsletters. We've already mentioned Nina Burley and her newsletter, American Freak Show, about all of the laws that are hostile to women being passed in the state of Texas. We talked about Mark Jacob and his Stop the Presses newsletter and the need to focus on the consequences of what Donald Trump is doing, and not so much the circus and the antics itself, but what it means to real people. Well, there's also a new video series out by Courier Newsroom, and it's called How Is This Better? It's a Courier production with Akilah Hughes, and it covers everything from politics to entertainment to tech and late-stage capitalism. How is this better challenges the grifters who are controlling our government, our attention, and so much of our daily lives. And let's see, I wanted to look at some of the excerpts from the most recent one. Oh, yeah, here it is, about Mark Zuckerberg. Akilah writes, once a hoodie-wearing coder preaching openness and connection, Mark Zuckerberg is now a gold chain-wearing, jiu-jitsu practicing metaverse warlord who is vibing with Trump-adjacent influencers. How did this happen? Akilah Hughes digs into Zuckerberg's transformation from the early Facebook years through his big metaverse bet and even his chicken nugget eating macho phase. And I wish I was kidding about that, but unfortunately, I'm not. Ryan Broderick, the host of Panic World and the author of Garbage Day, and tech reporter Stephen Levy, journalist and author of Facebook The Inside Story, join Akilah to break down this evolution. As you'll notice in her new series, Akilah is always asking the question, how is this better? And wondering if Zuckerberg still cares at all about making the world more open and connected, or if he even really did. How is this better with Akilah Hughes is seen on YouTube. You can watch or listen on Spotify as well. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, or you can watch right from the Courier Newsroom website, couriernewsroom.com. All right. 7:39 right now. And again, we're hoping to have Chris Larson here in just a bit. There have been a lot of activity among Democratic legislators introducing bills that may not necessarily pass, but again, give you the opportunity to see who's working for you, who's standing with you. And we'll also be talking on Thursday to State Senator Dianne Hesselbein. She's the Senate Democratic leader. One of the packages that's out there that Senator Chris Larson and Representative Lisa Subeck introduced would require firearms to be securely stored, either in a locked container or with a locking device engaged when a child resides or is present in a home. Seems pretty common sense. The bill comes in the wake of a tragic incident that took place on May 28th in Madison, where a 6-year-old child was critically injured in an accidental shooting. The child accessed an unsecured firearm that had been left unattended by an adult caregiver. Subeck wrote that children need to be safe wherever they are, at home, at school, visiting a friend's house. That safety is jeopardized when firearms are left unsecured in homes when kids are present. This common sense legislation takes real and practical steps to keep children safe and prevent these tragic, entirely unavoidable situations. Firearms are, of course, sadly, the leading cause of death among children and teens in the United States. According to the group Everytown for Gun Safety, nearly 360 children unintentionally shoot themselves or others each year. That's one a day. And an estimated 4.5 million children live in homes with at least one loaded and unlocked firearm. And the least we can do is, take the measures that are common sense and would guarantee children's safety. And if you can't, the consequences are there, death, injury, and now legal consequences as well. So we'll have more to say about that package of bills. But there's also another package out there about trying to counter the negative impacts from the actions of President Trump and his administration. There are attempts to unlawfully defund public programs, to hold back funds that have already been approved by Congress, interfering in the civil rights of Wisconsinites, jeopardizing the privacy of some of the most vulnerable people in the state. And that all goes against the nature of what state government should do, which is the essential work of governing, providing vital benefits, funding our schools, and satisfying, all the other obligations that come with solving the big problems that we have from day to day. And so that package of bills has been, again, introduced by Senator Chris Larson and several assembly representatives. And we'll be talking to Senator Larson about that and also to Senator Hesselbein coming up on Thursday. Again, all part of a session that should be focused mostly on the state budget. But unfortunately, the state budget is at a bit of an impasse right now. And apparently, Assembly Speaker Robin Vos was on one of the Sunday shows over the weekend, and again, trying to blame Governor Tony Evers for being unreasonable, I guess. Apparently, it's unreasonable to want to adequately fund our schools and fix our roads and expand broadband internet coverage to all of our families and our small businesses and schools and farms and everything else. Governor Evers made clear that, he already met them halfway. on their demands for tax cuts that would not go exactly the way that he would want them to go. But he understands that in a budget negotiation, you sometimes don't get everything that you want. But Republicans would not meet him in terms of, the spending that's required to properly support all the things that I just mentioned. And that's pretty intentional. Again, we're talking about lawmakers who at best want to do the bare minimum. And many would not want to do the bare minimum. They would actually like to cut many of these essential services. They'll tell you they don't. I mean, look what's happening in Congress with Medicaid, where, again, Derek Van Orden, President Trump, all the others, they don't have the guts to say they want to cut Medicaid. I mean, Ron Johnson is at least telling you what he wants to do. He wants to take away your health care because he says government has no business doing that, even though he doesn't have any other solution for the healthcare crisis in this country. But you've got, again, Trump and Van Orden and others saying, these are not cuts. These are not cuts. We're just reining in spending. They're cuts when they are intentionally putting in roadblocks for people to access the benefits that their tax dollars paid for. And that's exactly what's happening in this state budget as well, is legislators that would love to see cuts to public education and then take your hard-earned money and put it over into vouchers so that families wealthier than you, who might even have a lower tax rate than you, can then get some of your money to send their kids to religious schools. We're seeing that happening in more and more states, and there are people here who would like to see it happen in Wisconsin. So I give the governor points for saying, look, I'll try to meet you halfway. How about you do the same? And Robin Vos and Devin LeMahieu and the others in the Republican side of the legislature just aren't willing to do it. There's a new study out from the sports blog Deadspin that ranks sports fans' bucket lists. Believe it or not, Lambeau Field is on that list, but only at number 5, Parker.
5?
Ahead of that is, let's see, there's Madison Square Garden in New York.
Okay, yeah.
There's Yankee Stadium in New York.
Sure.
There's Fenway Park in Boston. Yeah. And there's Wrigley Field in Chicago.
Okay, I have heard very mixed reviews of Wrigley Field.
I have been to Wrigley Field and to Fenway Park. They both have this thing in common. They were both built in 1912.
Yeah.
Which means they also have this thing in common. They look and feel like a park, a ballpark.
Built in 1912.
Built in 1912,
Yeah.
Try as they might, you can't, I'm not saying that everything has to have that new stadium smell, but that old stadium smell,
It's getting old.
Something I can do without. Let's pop Jimmie Kaska up early since we're getting into this. Hey, Jimmy, how are you?
Doing great. How's it going, guys?
Well, good. I don't know if you heard us talking about it or not, but Deadspin ranking Lambeau Field as 5th on the top on the list of bucket list experiences for American sports fans after Wrigley, Fenway, Yankee Stadium, Madison Square Garden. Having been to most of those, I mean, the bucket list clearly must have been designed by, or they ask people who haven't been to these things and they say, what would you like to go to that you haven't been to yet? Because I think if it was people who'd been to all these, don't you think that list would look a little different?
I think it would. I think with all the recent updates that Lambeau Field has had, it's become much more of an experience for people. I think the Packers have been really smart in recognizing that the experience of Lambeau is pretty unique to a stadium experience just anywhere in the country. With all the history, with everything that's happened there, they've been really, really smart to capitalize on that. There's a lot more in the way of access to like historical things. It's a much more family-friendly sort of tour that you get. I really think Lambeau should be at the top of the list. I just think that's a destination for people. It's a big reason why we got the draft here this year. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you for that, Jimmy. And I want to talk to you in just a little bit about some of the high school postseason stuff that's going up. And the Packers have parted ways with a player that we want to talk about as well. So, Jimmy, you stand by. And then I want to bring up Senator Larson just long enough to apologize to him. I didn't get a proper link to him in time to come join us for this morning's show. Senator, I apologize about that. And I've only got a minute left in this segment, but I did want to get you on long enough to say, why you've introduced these recent packages that you have about the Trump administration and things like that.
Yeah, happy to be on. It's hey, it's officially Monday morning. No worries about it, Pat. But essentially, the main reason we're putting these out there is there's a recognition by legislators, and I think sometimes we get phone calls and definitely getting people coming up to us in the public saying, "Hey, what are you doing about the stuff that's happening federally? What's happening with the Trump administration?" and responding in kind. So they've threatened a lot of different sources of funds that are used for grants. They've threatened the universities. They've threatened K-12 public education if they refuse to abide by whatever it is, whatever made up standard they've got.
And
So
somebody's
this is a way for us to push back on that.
Exactly. And so some of our stations are going to cut away for a local update. Others will stick around here. We'll spend a couple of more minutes with Senator Larson, then we'll bring Jimmie Kaska back in as well. But for others, you've got a local news break coming up next on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
In our next hour, we will be talking about the building trades and apprenticeships and continuing to grow those so that we can address the labor shortage in Wisconsin. State Senator Chris Larson is kind enough to stick around for a couple of moments here to talk about a package of bills meant to push back against things the Trump administration is doing. We have mentioned this package last week on the show about withholding state payments to the federal government if the federal government withholds state funding, imposing liens on federal property in response to those freezes. But there's also one that puts some guardrails on how Wisconsin submits personal information to the federal government. And Chris, I think we see what Elon Musk has been doing, getting into all the most personal databases the government has. And you and other Democrats saying that, the state should not be accessories to that.
Right. Yeah. There's this is all part of a Protecting Wisconsin package that has a number of different bills. You outlined a few of them of just making sure that there is some state level of recourse to make sure that all this stuff that's happening nationally, which in many cases is unconstitutional, it should not be allowed. Yes, it's true that the Trump administration is asking for it, of turning things over, but that doesn't necessarily mean we have to be doing that. And this, as much as Wisconsin may feel alone in this, recognizing that other states are also getting the same level of bullying. And of course, if you give in to a bully, they're going to just keep on pushing and asking for more. So luckily, we have a good attorney general and a governor who's been pushing back along with other states' attorneys general. But in the meantime, from a legislative perspective, I think there's a real worry, especially as we're getting in the closing days of the budget, that the federal government under Trump is not going to pay his bills, and we will be stuck. So we have to have some level of recourse for that to make sure people don't feel extorted into following along with his very narrow view of how the world should work.
And then tell us briefly about the package of bills, the equality agenda that stand up for protections for LGBTQ members of the community, and the reason why you thought it was important to introduce those kinds of bills.
Yeah, well, it is Pride Month in Wisconsin. We just had the Pride Parade yesterday, although it rained a little bit on it. But you can't have you have to have rain to be able to get a rainbow. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was pretty appropriate that everyone was still shining and getting through. There continues to be an attack on the LGBTQ community in the state and federally. So a lot of these gains that have come through, I think it's important to make sure that we galvanize at the state level. And so we Democrats are leading on that. It is still, unfortunately, in some cases it's bipartisan, at least in outside of the Capitol, but inside the Capitol, it still continues to be a partisan thing ever since, they put forward the constitutional amendment banning marriage between anyone other than a heterosexual man and a heterosexual woman. That now We have those rights in the state of Wisconsin due to the Supreme Court. We still have to expand those to make sure that we have those rights within the state too.
All right. Senator Chris Larson, again, thank you for a quick visit with us, and we'll look forward to catching up as hopefully these budget negotiations get back on track as well. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you. All right, let's bring Jimmie Kaska in. Just talk a bit about weekend sports. What's this headline I'm seeing? The Packers have parted ways with a familiar name here.
Yep, Jair Alexander will be released by the Packers. They just could not come to terms with a contract adjustment. They tried to trade him earlier this offseason. Over $17 million on this contract. No other team wanted to pay it. Packers got to do the one thing they want to do if they want to move on from him. And so Jair Alexander will be released by the Packers. That's according to multiple sources this morning.
Okay. And I start with there because I don't want to I don't want to go back to Manny Machado being the only one who scored a run for the Padres, and the Padres take 2 or 3 from the Brewers. It was not an easy weekend, especially with runners in scoring position for the Brewers.
Yeah, and this is kind of the thing. Last week we were talking about, the Brewers were finding the bats. They were putting together some wins, getting themselves back into contention. But the Brewers have been a 500 team ish this entire season. So you're going to see a couple of steps forward, a couple of steps back all year. I think the biggest thing for them is that they're trying to get their pitching healthy, and they've had some flashes of that happening. But until that all kind of comes together, I think it's going to be that one step forward, one step back, at least for the foreseeable future.
Well, and the thing is, they have been on a tear lately, but so have the Cubs, and so they have not been able to catch up with them at all. And then finally, you have were you at the state track and field tournament this weekend?
Yep, I was at state track and field meet to support some of the student athletes in the school I'm at. But it is one of the uniquely cool state events to go to. Much like individual wrestling, you've got dozens, hundreds of schools at an event, so you've got all these different communities coming together for a state event, and it just sets up really well. UW La Crosse is a tremendous host for this. When you've got 20,000 or so fans in a place with all the people standing around the fence, and then the grandstand's completely packed both days. It's a really cool event. 25 state records fell this weekend. They crowned 118 event champions and 8 team champions. Really, really cool event for the WIAA.
And then I don't know about the weather here, but the boys golf championships are supposed to be happening today and tomorrow at University Ridge.
Yep, University Ridge is a great course. The rain, we also had rain at state track, so it's happening everywhere. But it should still set up pretty well. University Ridge is a pretty good course for handling that kind of weather.
Okay. And boys tennis championships were held this past Saturday in Madison as well. And then you wanted to note that the all-time winningest high school basketball coach in the state recently passed away.
Yeah, Jerry Pettigrew of Cuba City passed away over the weekend. His son made the announcement on social media over the weekend. He was a member of the WBCA, the Wisconsin Basketball Coaches Association Executive Board. There's been tributes that have come out from lots of people involved in high school sports, as well as Wisconsin Badgers head coach Greg Gard, but truly a legend among legends in the state of Wisconsin when it comes to basketball. It's sad news all the way around, and Pettigrew is certainly a figure, a force to be reckoned with in the state of Wisconsin in high school hoops.
All right. Jimmie, thank you for rolling with the punches here. Good to get the weekend recap from you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Pat.
All right. We'll talk to you a little later. Now, coming up the start of the next hour, John and Gordy from our Civic Media station in Madison. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.